Come to Italy, they said, and drive the new Tonale. It's pouring down, but we are here at the Leaning Tower of Pisa with the new Tonale, and it's a very, very good looking car. In the front, we have these GTA inspired grills. We have a Trento Stradale inspired grill as well. I was going to do a little bit more, but yeah, there's a lot of people walking here around. I think it might be just the best to hop inside, and I'll tell you more about the car there. I'm starting this review here in the center of Pisa, which in hindsight is not the greatest idea because there's so much pedestrians and traffic and you need to look out for, and the roads are so small. But we are here with the new Tonale. It's the facelift of the Tonale, and honestly, it's from the front it's a big facelift. As I said, it's been redesigned, so the radar, it had to move for regulations, and as well with the license plate, it's all the way down there because it's also regulation wise. So if you are complaining that it's not on the side anymore, it's not Alfa Romeo's fault. I'm sorry, it just isn't. It's Europe's fault. Europe now says that you cannot have any offset on the license plate if you have it, and then if you would have it straight on the side of the car, it would protrude, it would be quite ugly. As well, with such thing that protrudes so much, the license plate frame is now part of the crash test, so pedestrian safety also no bueno. It's a real shame because I truly think an Alfa looks better with the license plate on the side, but don't complain to Alfa about it. It's Europe's fault. Go and write a letter to someone in Brussels for that. Yeah, honestly, it's a great looking car here, the new Tonale. As I've said, the front, it looks much more aggressive. The overhang is shorter, which also makes it a little more aggressive. And it looks like a proper car now. The previous one used to be a little more elegant, but here, yeah, it's much more grown up. As well, inside the interior, I have to say that the quality of the materials, I always thought from higher up, are great. But then lower down, that's where it sort of lost me. And now, I think it's better. People will probably don't agree with me, but the gear selector, that's gone now. And you have a round dial. And I do have to admit, I like a gear stick more than I like a dial. But I think the dial is looks much more in line with the rest of the interior than what the gear stick does, because I felt like the gear stick was a little bit out of place, even though the plastics here, they don't really match that well as well. But other than that, we have lovely Alcantara. We have these super cool dual tone seats, and they're partial leather, partial Alcantara. I think that they look really cool, and you also now have a red option, which I did not see any of the press cars with the red option, but can you just imagine the specs you can choose? And with specs, yeah, we also have 3 new colors. We have the Rosso Brera that we are driving today. There's Giallo Ocra, which you might know from the Giulia and Stelvio special editions. And then we have Verde Monza. And Verde Monza is a very dark grayish green. It's a really cool color. I do think it'll be a hit in Belgium because people like to be a little more understated, I can imagine. But if you're driving an Alfa, then for me, either red or maybe the Giallo, but the Verde is a very cool option. And then yeah, we still have all of the colors that were available from the pre-facelift. So I believe it's about 8 colors now, leaving you with or without a black roof, with all of the different interior options. You can really spec this car and have some fun with it. And that's mostly what Alfa has been talking about here. Is they call it, with the marketing and everything, human intelligence. Like, the car is made for emotion. It doesn't want you to be like fussy about too many things, and that's why the focus here is very on driving and emotion. I've heard them say emotion so much that you could have a drinking game with it, but I do think it works, because everything is very nice, it's very driver focused, and there's not too many things, bells and whistles that... It's so beautiful here in this town. Sorry, I get distracted. But it's Telling you it's driver focused and then me being distracted. Good job. It's a really great car and doesn't have too many bells and whistles, and you're just driving as well. Here we have a very modest touchscreen, which I do think is more than enough. We have a TomTom navigation as well, works perfectly fine. There's nothing to say bad about it, and yeah, in general this is a very nice place to be. Seats are good, very supportive. I haven't had any backaches in them, which is a good thing. We also have new mood lighting as well in here, and this sort of looks like the snake skin. As I said, it feels quite premium of an interior. The lane assist, you can turn it off with double tap on the stalk to the left. With the speed limit assist, there's a shortcut on the touchscreen. Works super well, that's super nice. And it just then, all of the annoying things, they're gone. And you can just focus on the driving. And speaking of the driving, this car, it's been renewed quite well, especially on the dynamics, because they've increased track width, they retuned the dampers, they have new dual valve stage, whatever. Yeah, basically you can put it into, if you put it into dynamic, it gets a lot harder because there's two different valves for the dampers, and then you can push it back into comfort. The difference is generally quite impressive. It goes from a soft, comfortable ride to like quite a harsh and sporty ride, and it reduces body roll, and you have quite a good feeling with the car. They still have these lovely pedals as well as every time. If you select plus long, you can go to manual. If you select it again, you can go to auto. Works really, really well. And for me, the big thing with the previous Tonale was the way it drove, and the issue was that I felt like it was such a numb car. There was no communication from the steering wheel. The steering wheel was incredibly light, and then ride-wise, it wasn't feeling that sporty, if I'm totally being honest. And here they retuned the rear axle, they recalibrated the energy mapping or the power mapping as well on the rear axle. So it's a little more, the rear axle is a little more delayed, so it'll rotate a little bit easier. It's sharper on the front. And I have to say, it does work quite well. Like the steering, it's very nippy. For me personally, the steering is still too light, especially in natural and advanced. Then it's still not my cup of tea. It should be a little more heavy, so it's a little more direct. Not artificially heavy, but just a little bit more, because it's like super light. But if you push it into dynamic, then the steering gets a little bit heavier. I think that's why I really like it. And then we pull the pedal, and we can shift by ourselves in the gearbox. Yeah, the engine is the 1.3 liter that was in the pre-facelift as well. We're driving with the plug-in hybrid here today, which is a four-wheel drive, and it's the only four-wheel drive you can get. You have the plug-in hybrid in 190 horsepower and 270 horsepower. We're driving with the 270 horsepower, and I think it's the most fun from the range, to be honest, because 270 horsepower, it's quite nippy. It gets you more than fast enough everywhere. I would like to have like a quadrifoglio with 350 horsepower maybe, please Alfa. But honestly, and the way they've done it, I think is really, really clever, because what they've done is they have the ICE engine at the front, they have a little electric engine to assist it as well, but then they added another electric engine at the rear axle. And so you have a four-wheel drive setup that's basically, it's disconnected from each other, but it works really, really well. The control is really in the chassis, and even like trying to launch it, it keeps traction perfectly. Even with ESC off, the traction is there, which is honestly it's really impressive. I didn't think that it would hold traction that well, especially because you might remember the Cupra we tested a few months earlier. That really, really struggled to keep traction on the front tires. And so, yeah, this is a much nicer car to drive. I also think it's a much nicer car to be in. So the weather has calmed down a little bit, so we can now show you a little bit more about the car. And honestly, like I've said, this here, it looks super nice. It's way more aggressive. They had to replace the radar here, and that's why we have all these active and functional vents. We have these vents as well with air curtains, and yeah, new wheels, new wheel offset as well, so it's more stable on the road. The rear is much the same as it was, just the two badges here, that's in a new color, but honestly it's still a great looking car, and to have it being in a picturesque place like this here, I think it's quite cool. 3-spoke wheels, yeah, I love them or hate them, but I think they're quite cool. Maybe a little bit too much, like the 20-inch, maybe too much. And as you can see here, this is the key. It's actually it's really cool. It has Tonale on it as well. Such a cool accessory. I'd much rather have a thing like this over a stupid like plastic key card. You can really feel that the front axle is that much sharper now with the new car, and it lets loose a little bit on the rear, which is a funny feeling because the rear and the front, they're disconnected, but they work really well in harmony, whereas yeah, in the previous one they weren't really talking that much to each other, but now it has a completely new central processing unit. Now it works a lot better. If you push it back into the A, then we can drive fully electric, and then the engine, it just goes away without any hint. Well, the only hint is that it does sound a little raspy, the 1.3. It's not the greatest, but yeah, with the 270 horsepower we have combined, it's quite cool. And also something I forgot to mention here is they have a new wireless charging tray, which is a big deal to them. I'm not sure if it is, to be honest. They now have incorporated an air conditioning vent at the top to cool your phone down. I'm not sure if it works that well, if I'm being totally honest, because your phone still gets hot from the charging, and it mostly gets hot at the back of the phone. And just having one on top and hitting your case, unless you have a fully metal case or you don't have a case on your phone. If not, you're bold. You're much more bolder than I am, or a lot less clumsy. But I don't think it works that well. My phone still gets hot quite easily, but it's good that they're trying to invent new things. The speakers as well, they're good. On the higher end, they tend to rattle a little bit, so that's something to keep in mind. But this is sort of, it's the sporty premium of the Stellantis group, and the price is a little bit lower than the rest what you would expect. But it's still a very nicely finished interior. I honestly cannot complain about the materials that much. Touching buttons is very nice. We have buttons for the climate control system. We have a button selector dial, and then the infotainment, it's fine. It's like, people would complain that the screen is not big enough or that you don't have any bells and whistles, but that's mostly what it's for. It's just for driving, and you don't have anything to distract you. You don't have anything trying to beep at you or annoy you, and I think this is a lot better car than what it used to be. I believe they start at 38,000 euros, which is quite a good deal, I think. And then if you're going for the plug-in hybrid, it's 57,000. I mean, yeah, I think it's quite a great car to drive, to own. And yeah, I'd love to drive it a little bit more because it's quite short that we have it here in Italy. But I think we'll do a longer or more in-depth video, and then we can show you our IDs, what we like, what we dislike. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like. Let's discuss in the comments. Do you like the Tonale? Do you like the facelift? What do you think they could have done better? Let us know. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next AutoNext video. Have a great day. Bye.